All right. Joker Folie Deux is now in theaters. People have seen it. This will be a non-spoiler review. Alan, tell us the story of Joker Folie Deux, or as I call it, Joker Part Deux.
Part Deux. Yes. Well, it takes place not too long after the first movie. Arthur Fleck is in prison. He is the trial for his crimes is about to begin. And something has snapped within Joker, which puts him in this world where he's got musicals on the brain. While in prison, he kind of ingratiates himself with the guards, one of which is played by Brendan Gleeson. And Brendan, the officer decides, hey, I'm going to do you a favor. There is a kind of a prison sing-along that lifts the spirits of prisoners, and he decides he's going to take Arthur along to it. And there he meets Harley Quinzel, or otherwise known as Lee, and the two kind of strike a relationship. And as this relationship builds, every so often in their mind they break into song. And what essentially the kind of the thing that's going on here is that as the trial is being presented on television, the Joker is starting to gain a following. He's already gained the following since the crime, but that following is growing, especially after the TV movie that came out. And the movie is about him handling this newfound fame and trying to prove that he is insane in order to be found not guilty. That is the story of the Joker.
You forgot one thing.
And Batman appears at the end.
And it's a musical.
I did say it's a musical.
Look, this is a colossal disappointment. The first Joker film, I really was, not looking forward to that first one. There was this sort of manufactured, there's going to be violence. But when you saw it, it was amazing. That scene where Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, because it's not about the makeup. The makeup doesn't make him Joker. He transforms. There's a scene in the first movie where he's in the bathroom after he's killed people, and he starts doing this dance with himself where his whole body just becomes Joker, this sort of pure evil, kind of celebrating like how he's handled things and his new persona, his new confidence. He will not be bullied anymore. Like, he's now become this agent of evil. Fantastic. That first, and also with that first movie really dealt with mental illness, how people struggle, people disaffected, people that are forgotten in society. Great movie, unexpected. This movie, this follow-up was not necessary. And even the musical aspects of it, like a movie like, hey, quite simply, Les Miserables. The songs advance the narrative, or even Sound of Music, or Wizard of Oz. The lyrics to those songs advance the story, right?
Well, I'd say they're integral to the story.
Yes, you need to pay attention to the songs because they advance the story forward. In this, the songs are inconsequential to the story. And I will say this, I think the cinematography was amazing. It looked great. The actors are really good. In particular, Brendan Gleeson as one of the guards at the prison, and also Mr. Puddles, the little person. He was really good and funny. Probably best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga is very good. The story is horrible. This is then basically undoing everything the first movie did. You don't need it. And at the end, we won't spoil it. We will in our next review, but it even just shows you, like, why did you even make this if this was your ending? What's the point? a huge disappointment. I'd say a 4 or 5 out of 10. And I wanted to love it. It really seems clear to me. Todd Phillips did not even want to make this movie, and it shows. Alan, what did you think of Joker Folie à Deux?
Folie à Deux. I liked it better than you, but not that much. And I'll tell you why. It's the musical. And I think a lot of it has to do with my own nostalgia. As I think about this movie more and more since I saw it the first time, there's a lot of songs in here that I really like. And nothing's original. These are all covers of songs that were written in the 30s to the 70s. And songs I am personally very familiar with. And it was, for me, it was kind of like a musical tribute under the guise of the Joker. It's like if I went to, a striptease show about Batman. It's, you're just there for the spectacle. And for me, that was satisfying enough. But I do, the ending, I'm not a big fan of.
I hate
the ending to me. Let me just
hate the ending.
Yeah, let me just say this about the ending. It's lore breaking. And I think that was. I think the way I've said on Monday was, if this wasn't a Joker movie and you just had the story as it played out, I felt like it was interesting, at least from the second half on. But again, once you throw Joker and the Batman world and the DC universe, it's lore breaking and it's disappointing in that aspect. So as a fan of musicals, I do like the second half of this movie. But I get it. It's a problematic movie. Also, we talked about it earlier. This movie is not for everybody. I like these songs. Okay, so that's me. That's a very small audience, because I can clearly see while watching this movie that this is not going to appeal to everybody, and it doesn't. And it just amazes me that I'm just curious how this story came together, and what people were saying, and why they thought that this was a good follow-up to Joker. You just need to cut this off and say that it's just, this is so disjointed from that first movie. So there are things I liked about it, but outside of that, I give this a bare recommendation if you like these kind of songs. Look, that's entertainment. Bewitched. I think Bewitched was my favorite song. The Carpenters, was it Close to You? Like that a lot. But again, I recognize the appeal is, to me, the appeal for me was very limited, and I can't, I can't recommend it to people. But I think there are people I think who would get it and might find some enjoyment. But I will say, leading up to it, that first half of the movie was just a slog. You like the animation? I didn't like the animation, because that opening.
Well, I like the animation. It's pointless.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like I'm watching it. It's reminiscent of Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes, but the story that happens in the cartoon didn't feel like it had any meaning for the entire movie. So. Bare recommendation.
No recommendation from me. And I would say, if you like the first movie, don't see it.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. It really kind of ruins it. And the thing is, that first movie was so unexpected. It had something to say about how people in our society are ignored, their needs are ignored. And if you do that for too long, someone can go off unhinged and do some bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. And partially, I know that Todd Phillips was inspired by Taxi Driver, and in particular, and King of Comedy. Very influential to the first Joker movie. But also real life events like Bernard Goetz. If you know who Bernard Goetz is, he was this was a a while ago. I believe it was the 80s. He was just a regular citizen who carried a gun because he was afraid on the subway in New York and shot people because he was tired of being harassed. There's a scene in the first Joker that's based on that. And the first movie addressed those things, and it had something to say. This has almost nothing profound to say. It has, you know what? Here's what it says. This movie is a cash grab. We didn't want to make it, but they backed up money. They quadrupled the budget from 50 million to 200.
Big mistake.
And so what do you say? I don't blame Todd Phillips for making it. In fact, I respect him and really like a lot of his films. He's never made a good sequel, and I think he should avoid them.
Yeah. In terms of nothing to say, I disagree with you. I think it has something to say. I just don't think it was executed well. In the first Joker movie is about a introverted man who is kind of thrust and pushed to the brink of meltdown, to the point of murder. In this case, it's the exact opposite. It's the same guy who is an introvert, but being thrust into the spotlight as a figure, as someone to be looked up to and worshipped. And that's kind of this dynamic he has with Harley. And I think that's why the ending is so disappointing, because it takes a turn that we'll talk about on Friday. But I think that if anything, even if you're enjoying it, I think to me the ending was just like the biggest letdown. And then the last thing I'll say is that scene with Mr. Puddles. Again, it is the best scene of the movie.
Yeah,
and it is the most meaningful scene in this entire movie.
Yeah, and he was a character in the first one.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
his dialogue and his performance is the stands out to me the most. And I'll say this about the music: there's some Sonny and Cher type moments which I really enjoyed. I just like musicals.
Yeah, I watched Sonny and Cher when I was a kid, so I did find that I found that entertaining, but overall didn't make it. Not a worthy sequel, and maybe better left unseen.